there's my dog. She's sleeping, but not. She hates being on camera. She really does. I scare her away whenever I try to take pictures. Anyway, I'm doing this video on the floor because why not? I wanted to do a quick video on, because I've been taking an online, I have to do CEUs to keep up my acupuncture license. And I've been doing for a while these classes, and there was something that stood out by my teacher mentor in what she said in the last class. And it was basically, why are people so scared of other? Like, for example, different people who think differently, maybe different ethnic cuisines, like different ways of living, all that kind of stuff. People are afraid of other. And why? Why are we so afraid of other? It's like we think if we eat, for example, I'll give you a good example. Like my family grew up in a very traditional family, and we would eat, typical, I don't know, white person food, typical American fare, I don't know, meatloaf and sloppy joes and pizza and once in a while Chinese food, stuff like that. But for the longest time, I wouldn't try new foods. And I remember the first time I had something like Indian food, something a little more ethnic than my family was used to or growing up with. I hated it. Like the spices were too much for my palate, and I really, really didn't like it. And for many years, I didn't have Indian food. Did not have Indian food, didn't like it, and claimed I didn't like it. Like, that's disgusting. It's too much spices. I don't like the flavor. It's too exotic for my taste buds, my my simple palate. And then years later, somebody convinced me to try it again. She's like, well, you just had the wrong thing. Like you try other dishes. You just had one dish. You can't go from that. And I did, and I loved it. I loved it. Just turned out that what I had years ago maybe wasn't for my palate at that time, or it just wasn't the right dish that I had ordered. But I'm like, oh, this is really good. And I started to crave Indian food, So I'm just using this as an example. And I use the example of like my parents too. They don't want to like go too far out the normalcy of like food, right? Ethnic cuisine. And that's fine, because like we're all, we like what we like, we shouldn't try to force ourselves to like certain things. But just because we've had something, we kind of hold on to it and stick to it. And we're afraid to try new things because it's too exotic, it's too different, it's too weird, that kind of thing. But we're so afraid of other, and we get so angry with other. We have an anger problem right now in the world. Anger problem. We know that anger is the go-to emotion for everything, pretty much. Go-to emotion. It's the most accepted emotion. Anger. Everybody's angry. And you have to ask yourself, why do we want to keep living in this state of anger? It's like, it's all we know. We're scared of the other. So people who are living in a state of just like anger all the time, which is most of the world, most everybody, right? We resort back to just being angry and frustrated. I guess it depends where you live as well. But like, why are we so afraid to move into a place of like, say, compassion or empathy or understanding for other people? We look at it as weakness. We look at it as silly. We look at it as woke culture, or like just something just out of too exotic. Like, why am I going to live my life in peace? Like, why am I going to try and love what I do in life? Why am I going to try to have purpose? Like, that's not what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to just like live this way. That's how it's always been, right? So if you think about it, it's really silly. If you think about it, it's really a silly way to live, right? Always thinking that other is so scary, or that we should hate other, because it's not how it's been. Other is is other. Other equals bad, you know? So these are just labels we slap on things, but it's not necessarily bad. It's just we've been trained and programmed our entire lives to live a certain way and think that other is like the Antichrist. Other is the devil. Other is, gonna take over our, safety, and it's like human instinct where we're always trying to protect ourselves, keep this like force field, right? Where we don't want anything to penetrate. So if any, it's kind of like, any kind of disease, or in Chinese medicine, we have external pathogenic factors, which basically extreme temperatures like wind, cold, extreme heat, all that kind of stuff that can penetrate if penetrate our immune system if we're not strong, right? So we have our immune system protects us from outside invaders and keeps us healthy, right? But then we get sick if our immune system is down. So this is kind of what we do in life too. We're always trying to protect. We're like always this immune system that's trying to like keep us strong, safe from harm. But a lot of times it's a facade, it's a front. It's all in our head where we think that all of these things outside of us are going to just tear our world apart, that are going to just like put us in harm's way and danger, when it's not actually the case. It's not actually the case. It's a fabrication of our mind. It's an illusion, per se, that other outside of my bubble is going to attack me. It's more the ego is afraid, right, of becoming other, let's say, or but what's wrong with becoming other, right? Who told us that that was a bad thing? Who told us that living a life in balanced, aligned, feeling grateful all the time is a bad thing? So I see so many people going throughout the world, just going through the motions, and it's like, do you ever stop and think the state you're sitting in? If you're sitting in anger all the time and frustration, do you ever stop and think, is this how I want my life to go? Am I just accepting that this is how things are? That I'm just supposed to be an angry human for the rest of my life? Like, who programmed this into my system that this is the only way that I can live my life? That I have to be a slave, or like that I have to just like go through the motions and suffer through the week? And who told you that? Where was that programming coming from? So a lot of times when we're scared of other ways of living, or other people, other groups, other foods, anything that's beyond what we've always known, you have to question, okay, where does this stem from, this fear of other, right? Was it trauma? Did I have a bad experience when I was younger and it's carrying over into my life later on? Right? The fear of other, and us being so divided when we're all just humans trying to get by in life. We're all just on the same, like, it's like we all have no clue what we're doing, but some of us are just really good at pretending that we know what we're doing in life. You know what I mean? Right? None of us really know what we're doing here. We just kind of like, either enjoy the experience or just go through the motions like angry all the time and frustrated all the time, and never like think beyond just this, right? Like so many people. And so we have this thing where it's like, let's just sit in the emotion of anger, but that's just one emotion, That's just one emotion that we have. And if we stay in any one emotion for too long, it's going to start to affect us in a negative way. It's going to start to become toxic. We have all the emotions for a reason. But if we linger in one for so long, if this is our accepted way of just dealing with life, then it's going to start to wreak havoc. And we're going to start to notice symptoms down the line. That's all I'm saying. So anyway, I just want you to think about, you know, when you're scared of trying new things, or you're scared of that person, or because their skin color is different, or they have an accent, or you're scared of, like, I don't know, certain kind of animal or something in your life, or activity, or a new way of, like, moving your body per se, right? Just because you've never done that. When you are afraid of that genuine fear, it's like, where does that stem from? A bad experience, just the way you were raised? And do you still want to hold on to those beliefs and values? Or is that a fabrication, an illusion that your mind is just like coming up with, when it's not rooted in any kind of reality? Like, there's no, you know, eating like a samosa isn't gonna like blow your head up or something, or like trying a new activity, or instead of like smoking or drinking, going outside for a walk, is that really gonna make your whole world crash down, you know, and make you feel horrible? Probably not. Probably not. So anyway, just some food for thoughts. Hit that like button, subscribe. I really appreciate you watching this channel. If you liked it, leave a comment. And my dog is still sleeping over here. And until next time, we'll see you on the next video.